Hello, welcome to the podcast of Startup Recruitment Failures. I'm Indra, founder and CEO of JobRely. We're building LinkedIn automation platform for outbound recruitment. And today my guest is Arnas Stuopelis, CEO at Hostinger International. Arnas, could you please introduce yourself?
Hi, Indra. My name is Arnas, and I'm a CEO of Hostinger. We are a fast-growing web hosting company and serving millions of small businesses all around the globe.
Great. Thank you for participating and sharing your stories and learning with us. What would be the situation you recently had and maybe you could share talking about the recruitment failures?
Okay, so we have more than 1,000 people at Hostinger, and when I joined, almost 10 years ago, we have 20 or something. So it was a long ride, and we had hundreds of failures. So I was thinking about what is the biggest. I think there were so many of them, but I want to tell one which is like the most maybe funny one. So when we started, maybe they were not like a sophisticated recruitment process at that time. So we hired one person who was like a pathological liar. So he was inventing stories and telling that he had various kind of experience and like skills and so on. And then the guy was like so shameless and we didn't manage to ask for a reference because we were convinced that, wow, we have a super duper team member. But the thing is that soon after we hired, we realized that telling stories is the only one skill the person has. And this is like an excellent level. And we needed to split ways very fast. But from that time, basically reference is a must, whenever we hire somebody, we always ask to provide references so then we can talk with people who can confirm, So yeah, that was a funny one. But in general, we do mistakes every day, and it's a very, very tough and hard work basically to select the right people with the right skills and the culture fit. So we are working on that constantly.
Okay, and for how long did all these lies lasted? When did you notice that this is only the lie?
I think it took was 1 or 2 weeks basically to understand that, and we split the ways. So from that on, we understood that sometimes you cannot just rely on your instinct and judgment, and we started to explore the ways how to make a hiring process more predictable. So and right now the process is, first of all, I understood that in the interview, you can get only 30% of information, what you need. Like another 30% maybe you can get from CV and some external sources from the job experience and so on. And then something like maybe 15 or something percent you can get from various kind of psychological tests and intellect tests and so on. And then you need to, from other your teammates or colleagues, opinions, because different people see different things. And then still, with all these steps, there is a place for a mistake, because there is always a room for a mistake, and especially because sometimes the person who wants to join the company or join the team, he can lie to himself, or she can lie to himself, because, I really want this job, it's like my dream job and so on. And then when you lie to yourself, it's very easy to tell others that, So if the person is not sincere, you can understand that. But if the person is maybe not sure what he wants to do, or have some misjudgment himself or herself, so basically, no matter how hard you work, there will still a place for an error. But we try a lot to eliminate as much as possible.
But still, I believe it's inevitable, right? Sometimes you cannot just check everything. And you miss some kind of the information. What other cases you had? So this one was very extraordinary, I believe. If you have a 1,000 people team, maybe some other skills mismatch or cultural mismatch.
I know I hired through my life maybe 100 or more people. just myself, or maybe even more. Like I cannot count it. So what we many mistakes were made on the way, but the main mistake is always like when you are in hurry. Like the most common mistake is when you are in a hurry, you start to and you see like these all pros and cons. And the thing is that if you are 100% sure that the person is a fit, it's still there is 30% of possibility maybe that you are not right.
Yeah.
But if you have doubt, I think from my experience, it's like 70% of possibility that it's a bad decision, you know. And when you are in a hurry and you lower down your standard and then you say, okay, but I have only these options right now and I really need that to hire somebody. So the probability is that you are making mistake is 70%. So basically, if you feel that something is wrong, like that means it's enough not to hire. Because and you are not judging person that he's somehow bad. He still can go and find work somewhere else, maybe in other teams and not in your company. But if there is a feeling that it's not a match, like I think there's a very big probability that it's not. You know?
How to control yourself and well, we're working at startups, we're always in hurry and always desperate, right? How to know that, well, I need to calm down, maybe to look for more candidates. If you don't have time, you need a person to join the team as soon as it's possible.
Yeah, so what we are basically experimenting with right now is like a bar racer. It's a concept described in the book Working Backwards. It's like introduced by Amazon. And I think it's very good that you invite somebody who is from other team, but you know that the person has experience of hiring great people and have a good experience and is able to distinguish and read people well. And then he should have a veto right, basically to say, no, it's not a match for our team. But it's not the person who wants to hire, but somebody else. You know, if you have that opportunity, I think you can limit amount of mistakes you make. That somebody who is not like don't have interest in hiring it, but who is like guarding you from the cultural not fits me.
This is interesting, but how that other person, if especially from another team, and if there's another area, right, from marketing team, and you're hiring developer, how could you trust that person that their decision is better than yours?
So you need to find the right person, basically. And that means, and I heard stories like when there is a startup, and so stories like that you invite maybe your friend from other team, from other company. Like if you have a startup, and then he can check, and see what do you think if it's a right CTO for me or not. So you can rely basically not only on your skills, but maybe on your friends as well. If you are a small company, if you are bigger, then probably you can find internally people who has this good judgment.
Okay, this is great. For how long are you experimenting this?
Like, I don't know, maybe 4 years. But the thing is that we do it and sometimes we stop doing it and sometimes start again. So right now we're in the phase that, okay, let's be strict with that and let's don't repeat mistakes, So just let's make it obligatory.
Nice. I really like. I've never heard about this before, so it's a very nice thing to try at least out and to see what kind of the results you can get. And at the same time, you're not so much in hurry because you're following the processes, so you can make the decision more openly. Okay, great. Maybe some other cases and situations, hiring 100 people. When was like maybe not the most personal situation you had, but something that was really complicated to deal after maybe when you found out that there is a mismatch?
Yeah. So hiring is easy, basically. Yeah, it's like firing is much more difficult.
Yeah.
And then, so it's better to hire right and... then you don't need to fire anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Because saying it's always very hard to separate with a team member, and it's always personal, and it's never a pleasant experience. So that's why hiring is such an important thing. You can avoid a lot of pain if you do it right. And still, you will do a lot of mistakes. But the amount of energy you need to invest in hiring, I think, is you understand that only after you need to fire somebody. And so, in my experience, like it's very hard, but you need to do it, like in order to progress. Because sometimes you like a person, and it's like you have a friendly relationship, and then, but still, if you need to wait and you need to wait different things and make these hard decisions to separate or to demote your teammates if they are not able to do the job well. The company needs to grow and the customers need to be served well. And then it's always hard. It's never easy, I would say, like that.
Yeah, it's only business, right? But when it comes to people, then everything is personal. Do you have any strategy on firing people? How do you approach these type of the situations?
The strategy is being open to yourself and not lying to yourself, because it's never yes or no. Because me personally, I believe in people that they can progress and like they can change and they can get new skills and try again. The thing is that it's true. And people are changing and they are getting experience, and especially when the company is growing fast, So, like for example, it was like 100 people company, and you see like 1 year forward, it's like 1,000. Or it was like 5-person startup, and then you have like 30. And it's a bit different skills, like to run a team with 5 persons and to run a team with 150. You need to get new skills. And if you're just starting, so that means you need to learn a lot on the way. And somebody is able to do it, like learn super fast, and somebody needs more time. And the company cannot wait in these time periods. So my judgment is like always be open to yourself. Don't lie to yourself, because it's very easy like to lie. Okay, let's wait a little bit, and everything will change. He can learn or she can learn, and so on. But then in reality, like it's a conversation with yourself, and it's not easy. So my main takeaway, whenever you need to find yourself, that are you lying to yourself or not?
And when talking about the strategy, how do you behave in these situations? Are you trying to show the person that they're not doing well and maybe another company or another role would be better fitting? Or do you just say straightforward and because it's just business? Or maybe it's just case by case?
Okay, so my personal view is like always be open to other person, and it's because you respect. So if you are not open, you cannot expect a change. So you first of all, you should clearly tell what is your expectations, and it's hard conversation.
It is,
And then either you see some change or not, and then you talk again. But in general, I think it's very important to value what person did, and then to understand that this is this is a human being with feelings and with a lot of possibilities. But maybe they will be very successful somewhere else, on different team or in different role. So you have no right to judge the person like on his abilities, but you have a right to choose your team. So this is like my choice. I have a right as a manager to choose my team and to choose with whom I'm working. But that doesn't mean that I have a right to choose other person's destiny. He can create destiny on his own.
Exactly. Very well said. It's you cannot just get disappointed and angry on that person, right? It's just not working. Can you have?
And I think sports in general is a good comparison. Like in the sports team, like if you see it in professional sports like football or basketball, players are changing teams, but and they are making exceptional careers. That doesn't mean that somebody was was not accepted to one team that it won't be successful in another. It depends on the player. If he make a judgment, if he learns something from that story, and so on.
And Hostinger is an global company, correct? You have offices elsewhere, not only in Lithuania.
Yeah, we have maybe about 600 people working all around the world.
Nice. So do you see the difference between the countries or the regions in terms of hiring or firing people?
I think it's a very interesting topic, but in reality, there are some differences, but these differences are minor, I would say,
Okay.
because, like in general, there are different kind of people everywhere. So,
Yeah.
so for example, we used to have for example, with our colleagues from Indonesia, I had a conversation some time ago, and he said, "Look, Arnas, but we cannot." Your people in Lithuanian office are somehow like we cannot compare ourselves with them, you know. So why? But in the end, you realize that they used to accept everybody who apply. You know, somebody apply and they accept. And you say, look, but we select one of 100, clearly selecting if the person has the right attitude, if he's a fit, if he will like our company, and so on. And then if you just lower down your standards, you can very easily say that, okay, there are no people. But if you, like, for example, in the same Indonesia, in the same country, if you really working very hard to select your teammates, you can find amazing, talented people everywhere around the world.
Yeah, true. And like the environment itself, has it ever triggered you on, I don't know, dealing with some kind of the situations or actions or maybe people behavior? Because different mentalities, just like different environments you have to be at, right?
Mm-hmm. So I had a very good story about that. The same with let's say, from a conversation with our Indonesian country manager. So he said, like, Arnas, but you cannot demand from us to work like Europeans. It's like it's Asia, you know. We cannot work so fast. You say, look, but you don't need to be like Europeans. Europe is slow, you know, and everybody is like rich and fat, you know, and they are not in a hurry. You can work like Asian, like Japanese, for example. And he started to laugh instantly. Yeah. So it's like, the thing is that I think there are, of course, cultural things, but same time, if you want to perform and to work efficiently, I think it's universal around the world. It's like a business language. It's a business mindset. It's a results-oriented mindset. It's like modern management, let's say, practices. And these are totally universal. And it doesn't have anything to do with culture, because to my understanding, culture is like music you listen, food you eat, you know, what you do in your spare time. But if you go to work, you want to deliver results. Like there are certain ways which are effective and certain which are not. So if you look, for example, the life is changing and the companies are evolving and the management practices are evolving. We have a lot of science about human beings, about psychology and so on. You apply the newest inventions and it works. And if you apply something from the old times, like feudalic, ruling and so on, so just not so effective.
So
That's it.
do you believe that, like, I don't know, for example, management or business innovations are so widely spread, like so globally adapted, that you cannot feel the diversity anymore at work?
I think there is of course, there is a diversity. And for example, United States or Silicon Valley. In the same Silicon Valley, you can find super companies who are taking over the world and like the biggest companies in the world. You know, for example, like in the States, there is Tesla and Google and Amazon and Netflix and so on. At the same time, you can find very, very old school like corporates, which the super bad culture, you know, they are not able to hire good people and so on. And in the same time, you can find amazing companies in Israel, in Lithuania, in Vilnius, in Estonia, in Indonesia, like unicorn. So I think it's more about the company, the culture, not about the country, you know. It doesn't matter. You want to be successful or not? This is the question. You want to achieve something in your life or in your career, or you want to just, spend the time, get the salary, and how to say, and that's it,
Okay.
So I think it doesn't matter. Geography doesn't matter anymore. It's just like a matter of mindset. Do you want to have some results? Do you want to achieve something, or you want to be just go with the flow?
Okay, great. And you mentioned today that you had many failures. What would you advise to other hiring managers and recruiters when they fail, especially how to not get disappointed with yourself, basically, and still stay strong and hope that next hire will be successful?
Okay, so I think failure is basically it's just a learning. So I think the best thing what you can do is not to repeat the same failure again. So with time, like if you make a failure, make sure to understand where you failed. So, for example, if we need to, let's say, to get even not like I'm not talking about fire, but not successful hiring. I mean, like person we hired somebody, invested a lot of time, and like after a year he quit or she quit. So basically, it's both way. You can separate, and you invest a lot of time in hiring and then in training, and the person quits. So then you need to ask the question, always reflect. So where did I make a mistake? You know, where was the mistake? And then I go with this question to, let's say, to my people team and to hiring managers. Say, where did we make mistake? How we couldn't see that? And then you rely, okay, I didn't ask that. I didn't pay attention to that signal. You know, if you reflect, you like every time. I think you are better and better. You don't repeat the same mistake. You will do another mistake, but you know, with experience, I think you are just getting better understanding, and your success rate is increasing with time.
Okay, great. So thank you, Arnas, so much for your time and for sharing your story.
Thanks, Indra, for the invitation. Happy to be here.
And thank you to all the listeners. For more podcasts, please visit jobrelive.com.